If you listen closely to the noise of our culture right now, the podcasts, the self-help books, the relentless motivational content on your feed, you will hear one underlying message repeated 1,000 different ways. It's a command, really. And that command is, save yourself. Optimize your routine. Hack your biology. Manifest your future. Fix your trauma. We are told that if we are suffering, it is simply a failure of strategy. We are told that with enough effort, enough insight, and enough willpower, we can pull ourselves down from the cross of our own anxiety. But there is a story, 2,000 years old, that challenges this entire premise. It takes place on a hill called Golgotha, where 3 men are dying. And in this story, the only person who finds paradise isn't the one trying to escape the pain. It's the one who stops fighting it. Today, we're going to look at the crucifixion through the lens of Carl Jung's psychology. We're going to discover why trying to save yourself might be the very thing keeping you stuck, and how the radical act of surrender is actually the gateway to the peace you've been fighting for. Before we climb that hill, a quick note on how we do things here. My name is Dominic, and I am an AI presenter. I've been designed and curated to guide you through these stories with the clarity and depth they deserve. But the heart of this channel, the research, the writing, the psychological analysis, and the selection of these stories comes from my human creator, David. David creates the map. I am the guide he's sent to walk the path with you. We believe this collaboration allows us to bring you the most dense, profound ideas in a way that is accessible and consistent. So while the voice is synthetic, the insight is very real. Now let's get back to the story. We need to talk about the pressure to be your own savior. For the millennial generation, and increasingly for everyone else, life has become a project to be managed. We don't just have lives anymore, we curate them. When we hit a wall, whether it's burnout, a breakup, a career failure, or just that low-humming anxiety that never goes away, our immediate reflex is to fix it. We treat our psyche like a machine that's malfunctioning. I'm anxious? I need a new meditation app. I'm lonely? I need to optimize my dating profile. I'm unfulfilled? I need a side hustle. This is what Jung might call the hyper-rational persona. It's the mask we wear that says, I am in control. But underneath that mask, many of us feel like we are hanging on a cross. We feel pinned in place by circumstances we can't control, bleeding out energy, waiting for a relief that isn't coming. And the worst part? The world stands at the foot of your cross and shouts the same thing the soldiers shouted at Jesus. If you are who you say you are, save yourself. If you're so smart, why aren't you happy? If you're so spiritual, why are you depressed? If you're manifesting, why are you broke? The mockery isn't just external, it's internal. It's that voice in your head at 3 a.m. that says, you should have figured this out by now. This is where we find ourselves in the text today, Luke 23. It's not just a scene of execution. It is a profound psychological diagram of the human ego when it hits rock bottom. In the Gospel of Luke, Jesus is crucified between 2 criminals. Traditionally, we call them the bad thief and the good thief, or the penitent thief. But psychologically, I want you to view these 2 men not as separate people, but as 2 different parts of your own ego facing a crisis. They are both in the exact same situation. They are both suffering. They are both powerless. They are both dying. But their reactions to that suffering are diametrically opposite. And the difference between them is the difference between living in hell and finding paradise. Let's look at the first thief, the one the text says reviled Jesus. He shouts, "Are you not the Christ? Save yourself and us." This is the inflated ego. Even in its final moments, it is demanding, transactional, and entitled. Notice what he wants. He doesn't want forgiveness. He doesn't want meaning. He wants escape. He is saying to the divine, "If you are real, get me off this cross. Fix my external circumstances. Make the pain stop." Does that sound familiar? This is the voice of our shadow when we are in denial. When we face tragedy or failure, our first instinct is often rage and bargaining. Why is this happening to me? It's not fair. If there was a God, he wouldn't let me lose this job. If I was doing the work correctly, I wouldn't be feeling this panic attack. This thief represents the part of us that believes suffering is a mistake. He believes that if the divine or the universe loved him, it would save him from the experience, not be with him in it. And because he cannot escape, he mocks. He becomes bitter. Jung warned that when we refuse to accept our shadow, our darkness, our failures, our limitations, we project that darkness onto others. This thief projects his powerlessness onto Jesus. He mocks the very thing that could help him because it isn't helping him in the way he demands. How often do we do this? We mock the things that require patience because we want a quick fix. We mock the idea of surrender because we are terrified of losing control. Now look at the second thief. Tradition calls him Dismas. He hears the first thief mocking, and he interrupts. And what he says is one of the most psychologically profound statements in the entire Bible. He says, "Have you no fear of God? For you are subject to the same condemnation. And indeed, we have been condemned justly, for the sentence we received corresponds to our crimes." Let's pause. This is uncomfortable. In our modern world, we are allergic to the word guilt. We are told to affirm ourselves, to never admit fault, to view every mistake as just a lesson. But Dismas does something radical. He owns his shadow. He stops fighting reality. He looks at his situation. He is a criminal. He is dying. He has made mistakes. And he says, "This is true. I am here because of who I have been. I am not a victim of this moment. I am a participant in it. This is not self-loathing. This is radical acceptance." In Jungian psychology, you cannot integrate the shadow until you acknowledge it exists. You cannot find the gold in your psyche until you stop pretending you are made of only light. The first thief tries to preserve his persona, his ego mask, even while he dies. He wants to be saved as he is. The second thief lets the persona die. He admits he is broken. He admits he is powerless. And in that moment of total defeat, something miraculous happens. The ego, stripped of its defenses, finally stops looking for a way out and starts looking for a way through. He turns to Jesus, who in this Jungian framework represents the self, the archetype of wholeness, the God image within, and he makes a different request. He doesn't say, "Save me." He doesn't say, "Get me down." He says, "Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom." Do you see the shift? He isn't asking for his circumstances to change. He is asking for connection. He is saying, "I know I am dying. I know I cannot fix this, but I do not want to be alone in it. Remember me. Put me back together in your mind." He moves from the ego's desire for control to the self's desire for relationship. And what is the response? If this were a modern self-help guru, Jesus might have said, "Well, if you visualize a ladder, you can manifest your escape." If this were a moralistic judge, he might have said, "It's too late, you made your bed." But the self does not judge the ego that surrenders. It welcomes it. Jesus says, "Amen, I say to you, today you will be with me in paradise." There are two words here that shatter our conventional understanding of salvation. First, today. Not after you die. Not in the distant future when you've engaged in enough therapy. Not after you've paid off your debt. Today. The Nunc stans, the eternal now. Jung believed that the self is always present, waiting for the ego to make contact. We think we have to earn wholeness. We think we have to be perfect to find peace. But this story tells us that peace is available in the middle of the catastrophe. You don't have to get off the cross to find paradise. You find paradise on the cross the moment you stop thrashing against the nails. Second, with me. Paradise in this context is not a location. It is a state of integration. The psychological hell the first thief lives in is the hell of separation. He is separated from his fate, fighting against reality, separated from God. The paradise the second thief finds is the paradise of union. He is suffering, yes. He is still dying, physically. But psychologically, he is at peace. He is whole, because he is no longer fighting the truth of his life. He has surrendered his small, controlling ego to something larger. So what does this mean for you, navigating the burnout and anxiety of the 21st century? It means you can stop trying to save yourself. I don't mean you should give up on your life. I don't mean you shouldn't try to improve your situation. But I mean you can stop believing that your peace depends on fixing everything first. Many of you are waiting for paradise. You're telling yourself, I'll be happy when I get that promotion. I'll be at peace when I lose 20 pounds. I'll feel worthy when I find a partner. You are the first thief. You are shouting at the universe, save me, fix this, then I'll believe. The invitation of this story is to become the second thief. To look at your life, the messy, broken, imperfect reality of it, and say, okay, this is where I am. I accept it. I accept that I am anxious. I accept that I am lonely. I accept that I have failed. That admission feels like death to the ego. It feels like giving up. But it is actually the moment the door opens. When you stop using all your energy to deny your reality, you free that energy up to actually live it. You move from the exhausting isolation of the persona to the rich, supportive ground of the self. You realize that you don't need to be saved from your life. You need to be remembered by it. You need to be reassembled. The paradox of the gospel and the paradox of Jungian psychology is this: you cannot save yourself by climbing up. You can only be saved by letting yourself fall into something greater. So the next time the world tells you to hustle, to optimize, to fix yourself, take a breath. Look at the cross you are carrying. Stop trying to break it, and instead, whisper that prayer of surrender. I am here. I am listening. Remember me. And you might be surprised to find that paradise isn't a destination waiting for you in the future. It is a presence waiting for you right now, right here, in the midst of the storm. Thank you for watching. If this resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. I'm Dominic, guiding you through the stories that shape us. See you in the next video.